So here's something you don't see every day, but it does get a bit of a discussion here and there and everywhere. Let's talk about skier-only mountains this week on the Ski Rex Media Podcast. How we doing, everybody? Tim from Ski Rex Media once again. Yes, I am taking a drink in front of you. Pardon me if I do go to the water bottle more than once for this episode. I just finished a Q&A video, and I didn't have any water, and my voice and throat are shot. Now, I was out of town this weekend, and part of that was hanging out with some friends, and it got a little wild, and Tim likes to talk. Yes, I just referred to myself. What is that, the third person? I always fuck that up. I can never remember which is which. But anyway, I was talking a lot. My throat is shot. My voice is shot. So pardon me if my voice sounds like shit for this week's episode. Maybe it doesn't sound any different at all. I can hear it. And then pardon me if I go to the water quite a bit, because this one's going to be rough. But the topic is kind of interesting. I had another topic in mind. I really did. And I was going to record that today. But this one's better. I like this one better because the other topic was just me doing a rebuttal about an article that's been floating around, the media lately. But I like this one better. Now, this one was waiting on Twitter when I got back from the weekend, and I could have done it as a part of the Q&A series, but I think this is going to take, I don't know if it'll take longer, but it might. It has the potential to. So let's just talk about it because it affects us all. And it was a question that started it was a question put out on Twitter, not just to me, it was to the community in general. Now listen, homie, I'm sorry if I blow your Twitter name completely, because I did not realize until I just looked at my notes over here that because I know I wrote it down right, and when I wrote it down right before this, I realized I don't have enough time to try and message you and ask you, because you could be busy, and I think you're in a completely other friggin' time zone right now. So, so getting a hold of you might be rough, and you can just correct me openly and you can make fun of me. Anyway, Twitter handle, Simon the Go, which I always thought was Simon on the Go. I didn't realize there was no on in there. SIMONTHEGO. Simon the Go. I'm going to link it in the description below so you can see all his stuff. Travel vlogger, travel blogger, snowboarder. Can even tell you a little something about snowboard gear, that kind of thing. He posed the question, what's the deal? Basically, the question was, what's the deal with the skier-only mountains, the no snowboarder mountains? What's that all about? Why is that like that? Isn't this 2020? Shouldn't that kind of discrimination be done and over with? And yes and no. How do you like that for a dramatic pause? Yes and no, because it's not really discrimination. Obviously, I mean, it is a type of discrimination. We don't want snowboarders here, but you also have to take what they're doing in context, I think. Now, here's the deal as I see it. Let's go back through the history of this. Now, right now, and I'm going to do this from the perspective of the United States, and I think North America. I should have looked it up. I can't remember if there are any skier-only mountains. Actually, I know there are skier-only mountains in Canada. I'm sure of it. But I don't remember what they are. But I do know in the United States, since I am a United Statian, a lot of people say American. I say United Statian. Actually, no, I say American too. I just decided. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so in the United States, we have Deer Valley and Alta. Those are both in Utah. They're skier only, no snowboarders allowed. And you have Mad River Glen here in Vermont, about 45 minutes to my west. Also, no snowboarders allowed. Those three mountains, the only three in the United States. Now, if you go back through their histories, the general idea is, when snowboarding first started to hit, you would see the snowboarder. Bleh. See, look, I am all torn up today. But you know what? I'm not stopping and starting over. We're going to push through and keep going. When snowboarding first started to get big, first started to become popular, snowboarders were starting to show up at the ski mountains. Some embraced it, some didn't, some half embraced it by saying, all right, snowboarders can be here, here, and here, but not over here, up here, over there, and over here. Why? One of the biggest things I remember from my youth, from my childhood, is that snowboarders were just thought of as unsafe. That it's a new sport, no one understood it, no one could do it, so it's not safe. It was thought that the control was different, and stuff we know isn't true. Now, snowboarding is equally as safe or unsafe as skiing, dependent on the person who's doing it and the whens and the wheres and the whys and all that good stuff. We know it's not any more safe or any less safe than skiing. We know that now, but that was a factor in those, in determining where snowboarders could go on a ski hill back when it first started to become popular and they first started getting up on the mountain. So it was safety. Also, there was the old elitist thing. While we, like I've said before, snowboarders are stereotyped as punk kids, just punks, and skiers are elitists. And they didn't want to mix. So some mountains, to cater to the elitists, wouldn't cater to the snowboarders, which has obviously changed because now there are punk skiers and there always has been. That's the funny part. Skiers, there's been punk, friggin' outlaw, skier, whatever you want to call it, for more years than there's been punk snowboarders. And then there's also, as snowboarding became more popular, there are elitist snowboarders. It really is just the same sport, two different pieces of equipment. That's all it is now. And that's what it became. So we all, as a sporting community, as a big, community worldwide, skiers just had to figure out that snowboarders were fine, and snowboarders had to figure out that skiers were fine, and we're all the same, and we can all just get along. And boom, the mountains just open up to snowboarders, say screw it. You don't see skier-only mountains often. Like I said, in the United States, there's 3, 2 in Utah, 1 in Vermont. And it's kind of odd that they both ended up there, isn't it? Although they are both rural states. Utah has 3 cities? Vermont doesn't really have any. They call Burlington a city. It's not a city. And then Utah has Salt Lake City and 2 others maybe. I don't know. Does Ogden count as a city? Logan? I don't know. But these 3 mountains, the question really that is posed here is, why is it still like that? And as I wish I knew your name, bro. I really do. And I can almost feel you laughing in my face via the camera. And you haven't even seen this yet. It's still going to be 2 days before you can see this. Anyway, the question really becomes, why does this kind of discrimination to snowboarders stick around? And you still see some of the same stupid arguments that are stupid now. They might not have been stupid back then because no one knew any better. Now they know better. It's more dangerous. It isn't. The people are assholes who do it. They're not. They're assholes everywhere. Some might be, but they're not all. The majority of them are nice people. They're not us elitist types. Bullshit. Some of them are. All that stuff. It comes down to now not having anything to do with those discriminations. Now, some could say, but it is a discrimination. And you're right, it would be if it was based on those principles that snowboarders are different, but we know they aren't. They are the same. These people, skiers, snowboarders, are generally the same. Again, who a person is has nothing to do with the equipment they use or vice versa, and it really is the same sport with different pieces of equipment. Now, it comes down to the fact that these 3 mountains know that they are the only 3 left. Now, I don't know much about Deer Valley and Alta because they are in Utah and I have not been to either of them. I have heard from Utah skiers and riders that they could open the mountain to snowboarders tomorrow and they'd still say fuck them. They're not going to Alta. They're not going to Deer Valley. Of course, I also heard the same about Snowbird. I'm pretty sure they have snowboarders. So unless they started a 4th one or that new one that's getting built out there, what the hell is it called? I forget what they might call it, but it's somewhere out in Utah. There's going to be a new one coming about, or there could have been. And it was because it's basically in Alta's backyard, or is it in Deer Valley's backyard? I cannot remember the geography. But that one could it's in Alta's backyard because some of the trails are going to connect the mountains, and will snowboarders be able to go one way or the other? And probably not. And will this new one have snowboarders? That part really doesn't matter. The point is, the 2 in Utah, I don't know much about them. Mad River Glen, I know, is a co-op ski area. It's the only co-op ski area ran with a cooperative business model that... if you know what a co-op is, you know it. You know what this is. The people who are there pay for it and stuff. Now that I think about it, I'm not even sure how the cooperative business model works there. I know how it works in a grocery store. I honestly never asked how it works at Mad River Glen. Never have. But the point is this: because these mountains, they can choose who they want there. I mean, they could also choose not to have snow bikers at their mountain. That's becoming trendy. These mountains can choose whether you can go uphill or not, depending upon their, U.S. Forest Service contracts, that kind of thing. They can say this, they can say that. It's up to them anyway, number one. But why do they keep this when we know there's no difference? Because it's a niche. These three mountains are very popular. You hear about them all over the country. The two in Utah, everybody knows what they are. Mad River Glen is super famous because of its old school vibes. People love that place because it feels old school. It's got that antique single chair, that iconic. No one even knows what the other chairs are out there. No one even knows if they have any other chairs. Mad River Glen could just have the single chair, which they don't. They have more than that. I can't even tell you what they are offhand. But they have that iconic single chair. And the old saying, Mad River Glen, ski it if you can. Now, here's the funny part. These fools are about marketing. They are absolutely about marketing. And that's what I'm basically getting into. The no snowboarder thing is a marketing ploy. And I'll come back around to it. Like Mad River Glen, you used to see the bumper stickers all over the time here, all over Vermont here. It said, Mad River Glen, ski it, you can. I've actually never skied Mad River Glen, believe it or not, even though I've been next to it 100 times. Never actually gone in there. Will go in there. I want to see it because it has this awesome reputation and it looks friggin' great. The pictures from it look gorgeous. That like I said, that iconic single chair, which is an antique now, and they still run it, friggin' amazing. It's just awesome. Like any picture of that is a damn Rockwell cover. The Norman Rockwell cover. It might as well be. Or a friggin' postcard. It's awesome. The mountain's awesome. We know that. Even not going there, I know that. You can't have a reputation like that and not pay up on it. So with their reputation, that place is great, and I have no qualms about going there. Once I can get back on my feet, I'll absolutely do it. And I mean that in a literal sense. Obviously, I can still walk around. You guys who are fans, you know what I'm talking about. Tim isn't able to ski this season so far, and probably not going to be for the season. Anyway, aside from all that and Mad River Glen's reputation and their cooperative business model, the only real reason that I can see, and again, this is my opinion, let me state that very clearly, this is my opinion when it comes to why Mad River Glen, Alta, and Deer Valley, Utah don't let snowboarders in. It's a marketing ploy. It's a niche. They are the only three left in the United States. Now, what does that mean? That means that no matter what happens at their mountain, good winters, bad winters, upgrades to snowmaking, upgrades to lifts, upgrades to lodges. If some, new rising star hotshot racer comes out of there, or freestyler, or new technology is tested there, doesn't matter. If all that stuff, if they have, if all that stuff, these are typical things you hear about mountains, but if all that stuff goes away, because there are years where you could just sit around, or at time, even so far, like I've already seen it this season, there's whole days in a couple weeks, you have to fight to find some ski news because there's just nothing going on. It's just the ski mountains are open, people are riding them. This one has snow, this one has none. What next? And that's it. Nothing, But these three mountains will always have something. They are the no snowboarder mountains. They are a niche. It's something to talk about. And some would say, why would you do that? Isn't that a bad thing? Well, no, there's no such thing as bad publicity. Ask any celebrity out there. There's no such thing as bad publicity. Ask any corporation out there. Bad publicity really isn't a thing. As long as you can keep people talking about yourself, your product, your mountain, you always have a place. And as I said, even if there were bad winters and stuff, people would still want to go check these out. It's like, what it's kind of like? It's not just a no bad publicity thing, but it's a curiosity. It's a roadside novelty is what it is. You're driving down. For you road trippers out there, follow me on this one. You can probably relate. I drive down the road. I see the sign for the biggest ball, the world's largest ball of twine, and I'm going to go check that sumbitch out because I've never seen anything like it before, or something rare. I've seen two churches in the United States that have claimed to be the smallest in the country. One, I want to say it was in Kansas, and one in Georgia. And the signs are there, and as you're passing them, it's like, I got to see this. I have to take a look at this. The one in Georgia is smaller, by the way. Now, it's a roadside curiosity. You're coming along, you're like, well, where should we go? Where should we ski? Wait, this one doesn't allow snowboards? I got to see that shit. Whether you agree with it or not, some might agree hard enough not to bother. And obviously, if you're a snowboarder, you're not going over there. But it's a novelty. Has nothing to do with discrimination anymore. They could change it in a blink. But why do it? People are still talking about it, and it doesn't affect their bottom line. As the 3 only ski mountains that are only skiers, no snowboarders, obviously they're still up and running. They still have plenty of skier visits every year. They're still able to do upgrades. They're still able to maintain their business. So obviously it doesn't affect their numbers positively or negatively. Some could say, elitist skiers and people who really do discriminate against snowboarders, who really do have prejudices with snowboarders or hold prejudices against snowboarders, they might go there, but there's not going to be enough of them to offset the snowboarders' mountains losing. That doesn't really matter. But let me tell you this, and here's how you know it's a marketing niche thing. And they just don't think about it because of it. If those 3 mountains, for whatever reason, took real dips in sales, for whatever reason, say, maybe the snowboarders and skiers decide to all band together and say, you know what, screw those mountains just for that. Skiers want their snowboarder friends to be able to ski with them at this place. All the skiers and snowboarders on Monday do that. Tuesday morning, snowboarders will be allowed on there. You better believe it. If they thought for a second the decision one way or the other would affect their sales, it would be made instantly. Mad River Glen, I don't know about Deerville and Alta, like I said. Mad River Glen has the reputation for soul skiing, real authentic ski experience. Unofficial Networks just did a piece that said Mad River Glen is the last, how did they put it? It was within the last few days. It was something about the last, not actual skiing. I can't remember. You'll see it. You'll know what I'm talking about. Basically, it was the last type of skiing experience that you could get, that soul skiing vibe in North America. It's still a business, and Alta's still a business, and Deer Valley is still a business. So if changing that, would increase the business enough to matter, they're changing it tomorrow. If people said, we're not skiing there until you let them in, they're changing it. It's not even going to be a big deal. It's not even going to be like people have to go out and protest and have picket signs and all this shit. It's just going to be, one day ticket sales on a powder day are 0. The next day, snowboarders are welcome. That's just that way it is. It really is just a niche thing that really doesn't matter. Again, they keep it. And again, I can't say if this is true. This is just my opinion. This is the only reason I could think it, because it is such a simple thing to change. Even in a co-op situation where there is a board and the board has to vote on decisions to be made that have to do with the mountain, that's great. One person could really say, like, you know what? It's fine. Let's just let them on. And everybody like, okay, vote it in. That's it. Unless, behind closed doors, they are saying, fuck the snowboarders. We don't want those punks here. They're a problem. They're dangerous. They bring around bad stuff, and we don't want them here. If they're actually saying that, then you got a point. But nobody says that publicly. And now some people say, well, that might be something you want to hide. And that is true. But again, why not be the novelty? Why not be the only one? Especially when your sales aren't affected. It's not bad press. Some people say that's totally bad press. It's not bad press. Because if you go to and again, I'm talking about Mad River Glen most. Again, I don't hate on them. If someone from their organization sees this and thinks I'm hating on them, I absolutely am not. All I'm doing is theorizing. I'm theorizing, and I'm saying if my theory's right, I totally get it. I'm saying that, they could make the decision at any time, but they don't have to. So why waste the time, number one? Number two, it's awesome to be the novelty. That's going to bring people about. Even though it does feel like a negative thing, it really isn't, because snowboarders can snowboard at 99% of every other mountain in the 99% of mountains in the United States, 99.9% 9 you can ski, you can snowboard at, you can ride at. And a lot of them have, have embraced the snowboarder and love the snowboarder. Places like in Vermont, again, Stratton, like Burton, that's where Burton came from, not himself. Obviously, he wasn't born there, but that's where basically it all started, man. So, it really comes down to, and again, I could be 100% wrong. I say this all the time. I could be a friggin' idiot and not know what I'm talking about. It happens all the time. But if I am wrong, that's fine. Some people hate being wrong. I love being wrong. I don't mind being wrong, because if I'm wrong, that means I've learned something new, and it's always good to learn something new anytime you can. But I say it's the novelty thing. It's just the novelty. People are going to be like, Deer Valley, doesn't that place not allow snowboarders? That's true. And then they'll start talking about it. It'll generate the buzz. And if nothing else, these 3 mountains were mentioned on Twitter during this conversation, and now they're all 3 are being mentioned right here on Ski Rex Media, on the Ski Rex Media podcast, and one of them just happens to be 45 minutes from here. Not that far, just on the other side of the state. It's actually close enough where if there was a more direct route, I could get there even quicker. But in Vermont, there's no such thing as a direct route. Even the interstates aren't really that direct. I-91, you can get direct from the border to Canada and a few towns in between, but that's it. There's no such thing as a direct route in New England, unless you're only traveling along the interstates. Once you get off them and go on I-89, there's a sign not just around here by I-89 exit 1. It's right over here. I can almost see it. It has a sign that says Killington and Rutland exit 1. You still have to go 30 miles after you get off the interstate, because the interstate doesn't go anywhere near there. I guess you could say it is near there, but Route 4 goes this way and Route 89 goes that way, So in any case, that's neither here nor there. These mountains are staying that way, not to be discriminatory, but just to keep their niche. And the second they feel their niche is unnecessary, or if they just get around to it, because that could very well be it too. Because, like Co-op thing has a board. I don't know how Deer Valley and Alta run their mountains, but maybe there has a board there too that has to vote on this stuff, and it just doesn't come up. They're up to their eyeballs in, upgrades and, millennials not skiing anymore and whatever else it may be, not having snowboarders there. It just doesn't come up. You just don't think about it. Maybe. I don't know. Again, I'm not in their boardrooms. I'm not the GMs. I don't know the GMs. I've never talked to them. What I do know is that should we hold it against these mountains? Is that a question we should do? I don't think so. I really don't. If you're a snowboarder, because skiers don't have to hold it against them, really. It sucks that, our snowboarder friends can't go there with us, but there's always a ton of other places to go. Should we hold it against them? I don't know. That's up to you personally. If you're a snowboarder and think I really don't care because I can go other places, that's fine. If you're a snowboarder it's like, no, that's still bullshit, that's fine too. That one you're gonna have to make your choice, because I don't hold it against them, because I have been everywhere else. Not everywhere, obviously. I've been a lot of other places and I forget about them, honestly, which could put my theory of it's a niche thing, a novelty niche thing. It kind of puts that into question, because I forget that Mad River Glen is a skier only mountain. I just forget about it. I would, in fact, if I had gone there, and like I said, I haven't been there yet in my whole career. If I had gone there, it would have taken me probably a good hour before I realized there's not a single other not a single snowboarder on the mountain. Does that mean you should poach these places? Probably not, because they can get you for trespassing. You don't need to get in trouble. You really don't. It comes in the same vein of crime as, hitting a closed mountain. There's less chance of getting caught in a closed mountain because there's nobody there except maybe a security guard. At these, no snowboarder mountains, there's all kinds of people over there. So don't go poaching. Don't get yourself in trouble just to make a point. Now, sometimes that is a necessity, but not for something like this. Okay? Be safe and don't get in trouble. I don't want to have to hear any snowboarders going to jail for trespassing and then try to say it's protesting. That's not protesting. That's trespassing. Leave these people alone. Let these ski mountains do what they want. Again, it's only 3. If it was, the other way around, there was only 3 mixed mountains, then we'd have something to really talk about. But that's not really going to happen, because if there were only 3 mixed mountains, there couldn't only be 3 mixed mountains, because there would be, if it was still overwhelmingly skier only, there would be other snowboard only mountains. That would just happen. Some entrepreneur would come up and be like, you know what, where the money is, and let's just get all the snowboarders. Let's just get all that business. And that's what they would open up. So there won't ever be a snowboarder only mountain. There won't be any new, unlikely, unless this new one in Utah, like I was saying, decides to go skier only, which is highly unlikely. But could happen. I wouldn't bet on it. The betting man in me says I wouldn't bet on that in a second. But it could happen, but it's unlikely. I don't think you'll ever see a mountain go the other way. Like, you know what? We've had skiers and snowboarders for 30, 40 years, but screw it. Let's make it skier only. And like I said, they won't do it with snowboard only either. So there you go. It is a type of discrimination, but I don't think it's malicious, and I don't think it comes from the stereotypes anymore. I really think it's just we're a novelty and we're different. So cool. People will talk about us, and they'll always be, relevant to conversation, because they have something no one else does. And that's one of the ways to keep your name out there, is to be different, to be unique. And that's what those 3 are doing. In my opinion, that is what those 3 mountains are doing, keeping their name out there, to be novel, to be unique, to have a niche. Okay? How do you like that for an answer? I don't know. I'm not even sure if I like this episode yet. I have to listen to it back. But thank you for listening and watching the Ski Rex Media podcast today. Obviously, no snowboarder mountains, skier only mountains. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it entertaining. I hope you liked the information that I threw out there and my opinion. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Let's keep the Ski Rex Media name growing. How about that? I can't do something like snowboarder only because I'm small. I don't have a reputation. So I have to let in everybody. And I want to let in everybody. So with that said, question and answer series. If you have a question you want to ask, Ski Rex Media, which is only me, go for it. Social media and email, all links down in the description. Use this hashtag SRM questions if you get in on the question and answer series. Or if you just want to follow Ski Rex Media, follow me. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, obviously, if you're watching, Budsprout, obviously listening, or the other places to listen to the podcast to make it easier on you, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. All you got to do, go down to the subscription. You'll get links to all of it. You can go there, follow, subscribe, whatever word they use, do it. And then share all the content if you liked it, please. I would appreciate it. I'm also on the Patreon if you want to try that. And I'm still working on that. I'm still getting a feel for that. But if you want to support the program and the website, skirexmedia.com, you can do that down there too. Okay? Thank you again for watching. This is Tim, once again, Ski Rex Media, and I will see you out there as soon as I can get out there, and maybe I'll just see you at the bottom or on the road otherwise, all right? Have a nice week. We'll see you at the end of President's Week, and laters.